And welcome back to the show at 6:35 when you're driving to work this morning. So, a Cambridge economist, she is protesting Brexit. Did you read about this, Brent?
Protesting Brexit?
Yes.
I can't imagine anybody doing that.
Yeah, well, did you see how she's actually protesting Brexit? Because I'm thinking this is a whole new take we're going to do on the radio show.
Did she get naked?
She actually did. She actually did, yes. She's protesting Brexit by allowing students to sign her naked body during her lecture.
And how old is this professor?
Doesn't matter. It's not pretty. But
Ew.
The point here is,
are they going to go for extra credit?
I think they're going to go have their eyes checked. Is what they're going to do. But yeah, so it's a novel way to protest, I guess. But so she's walking around the stage, and she's completely naked, and having students sign her body while she's giving this this lecture about protesting Brexit. So I'm thinking we could incorporate this. We stream live video. We'll get you naked.
No, you go first.
Yeah.
Not only do I have a face for radio, but the rest of me.
There you go. But yeah, so here in Houston, a few years back, when was that we signed the rain tax and law? That was probably 6 years ago, I guess.
Which tax?
The rain tax.
Oh, the rain tax.
Was that about 6 years ago?
Seems like
6-7 years ago. It's been a while. I was trying to remember. It's been a while, but so here in Houston, and of course everybody knows if you live in Houston, you're well aware of this. We passed this tax, and it was actually not classified as a tax. It was more of a fee.
A fee,
right? Yeah. And so depending on how much property you had, and how much concrete you had, et cetera, on your property, they assessed a fee. Which was supposed to be used to improve drainage in the city of Houston so we wouldn't flood. Okay, and of course, as with all government programs, they all sound great on the surface. Oh, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. The money never actually got to where it was supposed to go. It got used for, every other program that the city government wanted to use it for. Now, why do I bring this up? You don't have to look far in this world. If you want, it was 8 years ago. So, yeah, that was 8 years ago. It's hard to believe. Time flies when you're having fun. So you don't have to.
Time flies when you're being taxed.
Exactly.
For the rain.
Yeah, right. Not that it rains. Yeah. Anyway, it's just typical. Let's find a reason to tax our citizens, and we can't. And now what's funny is the city of Houston can't figure out why people are moving out of the city. Well, there you go. But it's interesting now because you don't have to look far, throughout history to find out the effectiveness of taxes, right? And when you tax citizens more, they tend to find options to pay lower taxes. They will move out of the city. They will do other things. And just when frustrated residents of New Jersey, which is already one of the most heavily taxed states in the U.S. Through their Democratic governor, Phil Murphy, which has already brought the state into the 9th circle of taxation hell with new taxes to save the state's ailing pension system, they've now come up with a new one. Guess what it is, Brent? It's a tax on the rain. Apparently, he came to Houston and thought, hey, this is a good idea. It's worked so well in Houston. Let's do this in New Jersey. A bill authorizing the new local taxes was passed by the state last month. Murphy's preparing to sign into law over the objections of the state's Republicans. And according to the New York Post, as one of the state lawmakers told the Post, just when New Jersey residents thought the state had already laid claim to every revenue stream imaginable, Democrats have found one more thing to tax. Quote, every time you think there's nothing left to tax, we come up with something else. And now they are understandably furious. Can't imagine why. And it gets crazier. My New Jersey friends, the bill passed, and now it's going to the governor to sign. The rain tax is simply kind of the same thing that we already have here in Houston, which is largely supported by Democrats, of course, largely opposed by Republicans, not surprising. It would allow towns, countries, and local authorities to set up their own storm water utilities. These newly created arms of local bureaucracy would be empowered to charge property owners a fee based on the amount of non-permeable surface they own, like parking lots and driveways. Does this sound vaguely familiar? I'm telling you, he must have come to Houston Just, and all he had to do was come to Houston to see that this really just ticked everybody off.
You know what's next? A breathing tax.
Oh, don't worry. An oxygen tax.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah. If you breathe.
Oh, no.
We're going to tax you.
Carbon dioxide, because it's...
Climate change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Greenhouse gases.
Exactly.
When we exhale.
Well, Ocasio-Cortez, right?
Yes.
She wants to figure out something to do with farting cows because these are a problem.
Well, she wants to end farting cows.
Right. So we should all be vegetarian and use no oil.
If you know what? If we could tax stupidity, we could pay it off. We could pay it all off.
It'd all be done overnight.
Yeah.
Literally. Anyway, but I thought it was funny because New Jersey is, like I said, they already heavily taxed already. They have their state pension is vastly underfunded, much like Illinois. And one of the big issues of the next downturn in the markets, and of course the next downturn that we have economically speaking in terms of recession, which is why there is such a push by the federal government to sustain economic growth as long as possible through every means necessary, because the underfunded pension status in this country is about $5 trillion. The problem for these pensions is they were underfunded going into the downturn in 2000. They became more underfunded. And then through 2008, they became more underfunded. And here's the problem with these pension funds that you need to understand is that when they talk about underfunded pension status, they go, well, we're only underfunded by 40% or whatever the number is. And it's large. All these pension funds are largely underfunded. That's based upon the assets that they have currently, the expected growth rate on those assets, and a projected retirement date on the individuals drawing on those pensions. So if you don't get the return that you want on the assets, you have a problem. If people retire sooner than is expected, they've got a problem. And the issue is that when there becomes a concern, Dallas just saw this problem a couple of years ago. We were talking about this on the show then, is that when there was concern about the viability of the Dallas pension fund, they had a rash of people retire all at once because they wanted to get their pension. They didn't want to be the last guy out the door, so they all retired. That puts an additional strain on these already underfunded pensions. But here's the reality of this, is that if you said, okay, let's liquidate all the pensions today and just whatever assets they've got, and we're going to take that pool of money and divide it up. Most pension funds are about 30% funded. So it's a real problem because in the next downturn, this is the big concern, right? This is why everybody is so scared of the next downturn in the market, is because two things are going to happen. One, these underfunded pensions are going to once again become even more underfunded. And at some point, you're going to get a lot of senior, and a lot of these individuals that have been contributing to a pension over the years are now at the age of retirement. They are close enough to retirement that they can retire and begin to draw their pension. So if there becomes a concern with these individuals, now a lot of them are still working because A, they like their job, or B, they don't want to quit yet, or C, they need the income. But they know they have that pension there. How long do you think it'll take before there is a downturn in the market and these people go, you know what, I better go get my pension because it may not be there? And that is the biggest risk to these pensions, is a run, what's called a run on the pensions, called a run on the bank, which is when everybody shows up all at once and says, I want my money now. And when that happens, you've got a problem. You know, we just went through in the city of Houston, we just went through sticking $1 billion in the last election cycle into the pension fund to try to shore up some of the underfunded status of the Houston Police Department and Fire Department pension funds. That is just an inkling of what is the problem on a national basis. So the big concern is that, you know, people talk about, well, there won't be another financial crisis like we had because the banks are a lot more secure than they were back in 2008. I'll argue the point with you on the banks, but even assuming that's true, the banks aren't necessarily the problem. It's corporate debt. It's pension funds. It's household debt. It's student loan debt. It's a variety of debt that we have that far outweighs the amount of mortgage debt that we were dealing with back during the financial crisis that we currently have in the system today. That's the risk. And that's why everybody is so determined not to allow the economy to slip into a recession. Be right back after the break. Don't go away.
Catch The Lance Roberts Show anytime, day or night, online at lancerobertshow.com.